Hello, Bl'Artagnan here with Italian's Lost Chapter, Lufenia, bringing an offbeat variation of Square Enix airlines to this fight because they are launchable and they're also pretty annoying, so the less of them we have to deal with, the better. They're range resist, so we bring Celes for the enchant. They also require HP regen, which is again something Celes does bring in limited amounts. And other than that, Cloud and Keiss will be doing their usual thing for most of the fight. I say most because once they hit 79%, or unless B goes, which will not be happening, they're basically going to be putting the equivalent of Numb, like Reno's Numb debuff on the party, where every time we act we're going to get delayed, and that bogs down the fight pretty significantly. Once it kind of goes into effect, it really kind of messes with you. So we're using, I used the jack call there to, or the regular call to reset their break and allow Ramza to push both of them back with his burst weapon. It's kind of important to get as many calls and AAs out of the way before they hit 79% as we can, because any we use after are going to delay us. And you'll see that was resisted because Celes isn't here anymore, so we're going ahead and use Krile while Ramza's on the field to make up for Celes not being here. Basically, the goal here is going to be to delay and launch and hit them as hard as we can, as much as we can, until they finally have to they catch up to us and we have to start playing the fight fairly as it was intended. And at that point, Celes will kind of take over and use her tanking to kind of keep us protected while we kill them. We're going to get enough of a head start in terms of the damage that we won't need to worry about it as far as the turn count goes. Although, if you check the length of this video, probably about 2/3 of the video is going to be the last third of their health to give you an idea of how things are going to be going when we get there. On the way there, though, we're pretty much just doing kind of the usual, launch team airlines stuff. We get a 3 million damage burst phase, which is great. They have a lot of stack turns, which is not so great. And the orb is getting a little bit low here. Another part of the problem with switching Celes out on this team is that she's our HP regen. She's our orb management component. Neither Cloud nor Keiss can use Porom spheres, so Celes really is the only regen we have, unless we use Penelo Call, which I'll be using to mitigate the orb until Celes is back. And again, the orb goes away at 29%, so we have a bit of a time window. That's kind of what this team was trying to do, was push it all the way to 29% as fast as possible. That way we don't have to worry about the orb falling down and falling off from them taking too many turns without Celes being able to, regen and keep pace. So we have Pandemonium now. I do something, in hindsight I do something I probably didn't need to do. You'll see it later. I don't use Ramza's Enervate before he leaves because I was worried about debuff real estate. I didn't want the Ice Imperil to fall off. What I didn't realize at the time was that Cloud is so slow and Krile's enchant call lasts long enough that I could have actually let it fall off and kept the lightning enchant until I was able to reapply the ice enchant. So that's something I could have done better. I don't know if it would have made a tremendous difference, but a little speed debuff there, defense down, might have shaved off a couple turns had I done that instead of using the shout right here, which I did, in order to get that last little launch. So we're kind of approaching the end of our non-stop flight. They're starting to catch up in turns, and we're kind of running out of delays, so we're very soon going to need to start kind of facing them fairly. Go ahead and reapply the Ice Imperil. My thinking at the time had been I was going to use Celes' Runic for the battery with launches and stuff, but the turn order starts getting so messed up that I didn't end up needing the lock space at the time. So there was a bit of a bit of an inefficiency with having both elemental imperils on when I didn't need them. I could have used one of those slots to get something like Innervate, like Lock. Because at this point I'm not really sure if this is going to work. The orb doesn't seem to be a problem, and I think in terms of, as far as turns go, we have 75 turns and we're at turn 18. The main thing I've noticed with these bosses, the only real threat they present is sometimes they can stack their turns in like this, and then you'll accidentally self-delay yourself in such a way that they gain a bunch of brave off an attack and then kill someone. It's not super common, but if you're not careful, it's going to happen. Or it can happen, at least. Here's a fun little quirk. If Beat doesn't act before you drop them below 79%, his first attack just hits himself, which is kind of dumb. Krile's trap's falling off, which is giving us the real debuff real estate we're going to need to apply Celes' trap. And Celes' trap is going to be real useful now because this team's kind of conventional means of attack with delay and launch from Keiss and Cloud isn't really going to be super realistic. Could have just used the hero support instead of the hero support AA. But I wanted to recover a use of hero support while it was relatively safe to do so. The consequence here is that for the rest of the video you're not really going to see any good launches. Sorry to say. Thinking is I didn't want the Paralyzed to push off the Imperil, that's why I ended up using a regular hit point attack. Once Jack's debuff falls off there, we have the room to drop Paralyzes as we need to from Cloud's Cross Slash. Right there was an example of what I said in terms of the turnover getting wonky and then someone getting really big and doing a big hit. Celes obviously can take the hit with their last stand and just kind of general beefiness, but aside from running out of turns, that's really the only threat these guys present, because all of their attacks are either brave, or if they have a lot of hit points, or a lot of brave, they'll do a HP attack. So, if you have people who can shave very well, you basically are never in danger of actually dying. At worst, you're in danger of running out of turns. Go. 200k launch, just about. That's not great for Cloud and Keiss' standards, but for the standards that these guys are going to be letting us work with, it's about as good as we're going to get. I probably could have used Runic there for the battery, but so at this point, we're a little past the halfway mark of the video, which is depressing. These snails really just are a slog to fight. It's not that they're dangerous, they're actually basically exactly what you would think a giant snail would be to fight, which is not super dangerous, but really just kind of gross and tough to kill and annoying, and that's really all they are. I don't mean to complain too much about it, just there isn't too much to say here beyond kind of that experience of this fight. And looking and being like, okay, 20% to go, we have almost, and that's almost as long as the rest of the fight. So, get a at least Cloud is reasonably battery for that launch. Celes is kind of tagged in now, and she's kind of the MVP of this squad now. For most of the fight, she was basically filler, just there for enchantment, for her HP regen. And now she's kind of taken over and is the reason that we're able to close this out. Because the other two have kind of spent their load, so to speak. Keiss really doesn't have a whole lot he can do when the turns get, super jumbled like that, and on top of that, when he hero supports, he's going to get pushed a turn back. there, once again, you see A gets a break and a big amount of brave, which Celes is going to be able to help deal with. Absorbing most of their attacks are magic, so Celes is obviously great here for that reason. I know Gladio is kind of the go-to, I think, and Gladio is ridiculous. I'll probably be using him for one of my other runs on this. I might try pulling Camelot into here just because all their attacks are magic. That just, that says Camelot to me. It just, I don't know. Convincing myself to do this fight again is like, man, I don't really wanna. These guys are just a pain. Like, at least with the Humbabas or the Medusas, whoever else, at least you feel like you're fighting them. These guys, you just feel like you're punching into them and you're getting all slimy and gross, and they're just kind of sitting there being gross. So props to the devs for making a very accurate snail fight, I'll give them that. You can see here, I'm trying to figure out decent ways to use hero support, and just this keeps happening, there isn't really much I can do with it. I mean, maybe I should be using Selkie Throw for the splash damage at this point. I haven't even thought about that. Use her AoE attack so that the next attack is also a launch, or so that a launch is maintained on A. Use that Selkie Throw. Cloud at least had some battery from the freeze dive, so that worked out. It feels so bad, like giving these kind of commentaries on such like unimpressive things. Hey, look, Cloud got a launch that did like 100,000 damage. We did it, guys. And again, we're in no danger at this point. They're at 5%, we're at 50 turns. Everyone has a good number of skills. Celes' traps are keeping us from dying. There's a reason I picked this slow plodding music for this. Shoutouts to Banjo-Kazooie and Clanger's Cavern. It just feels like, oh, God. And for those of you who have stuck around this long and have just been listening to me complain the whole time, you guys, props to your endurance there, because I'm getting tired listening to me talk. They're so fast, and they keep delaying us, and we're just trying to kill them. There, I'm a bit nervous because of all the brave that B just got. That is going to be a hit. Luckily not a critical one, we're able to deal with it. And we get another lane launch. And we don't really want to kill one before the other because they upgrade to Mucus Edge, or Mucus whatever plus, which delays you by 2 turns if one of them dies first. So we're really trying to kill them both at the same time, or at the very least kill one when the other is far away, like here. So Cloud's going to go ahead and finish this off and bring this mercifully to a close. Really not a very elegant ending there, so sorry you had to see that. But there we go, Immediatalian Lost Chapter, cleared with pseudo launch team. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video. Adios.